No nonsense. Okay, welcome to No Nonsense Psychiatry. Well, another show about psychiatry, I guess. Well, I'm hoping that this one's going to be a little bit different. I've got about 25 years experience working as a mental health nurse, so I guess I've been exposed to a lot of instances and met hundreds and hundreds of people over that time. So I guess I kind of want to bring that experience to a show and table it for you. Yeah, I'm not a psychiatrist. Yeah, so I'm not someone that's had uni experience in the sense of treating, diagnosing and prescribing medications. I'm not that person. But I guess my advice comes from years spent directly working with people and facing all sorts of mental health challenges, I guess. And so I'm here to offer you some practical, workable options that might fit with your life as it is. And the audience, I guess, I'm aiming at is people who struggle at times and find it difficult to cope with everyday things that happen to them. This may be a build-up of things that have accumulated, or this might be a one-off event, or it might be a reaction, say, to some trauma that's occurred. And I guess for them, for those people, I wanted to introduce something that was, a no-nonsense approach, really, and offering practical psychiatric advice that's going to help you as a person move forward and not get stuck in whatever situation you're in. So you're going to be given some actionable tools and real solutions, and there is no need to share your full life story unless you want to, of course. But what you're going to get is maybe some free sessions focused on unconventional psychiatry. And, you're going to walk away with some homework and you're going to have some tasks to put into practice in your daily life. There's no cost, there's no catch, there's no pressure to explain yourself. Okay, so this is really about empowering you, giving you the tools and advice that you need, and for you to stay in control of your own progress. So you're going to find this show, I hope, supportive and feel safe in this space, and and focusing on some genuine type strategies that are built around you. So this doesn't mean that you have to come on the show and tell everybody your life story. That's not what I'm saying. I'm going to be drinking coffee while I'm talking to you, so if you do hear a slurp, it's because I'm drinking coffee. You don't have to come on the show and reveal yourself and to everybody and all in sundry, the ins and outs of your life. I don't think that's very, very nice. But I think over that time, when we're discussing things, which will be a part of the show, and then you can see that, okay, you might have a similar problem. If you're a listener, you might have a similar problem, and you just want to listen in and take on board some of those tools and perhaps try them out for yourself and see how you go. Now, hey, there's going to be people out there that are going to listen to this show that are not going to like what they hear, and that's for various reasons as well, and which we can go into at a later date. And I think there's people out there that are quite receptive to this. But what I want to try and get across is I see lots of people that come into the mental health system, and I don't necessarily feel that they need to, because I think underneath the surface, you're going to be getting some help to find you some support, but some of it's pretty obvious, and and the reason why I say it in a sense of it's pretty obvious, not to be detrimental. I think it's pretty obvious that there is lots of support out for you there, but that doesn't have to drag you into the mental health system, because there are repercussions to that. there are repercussions, and they are things that we'll talk about. And I think for you as a person, there's going to be times when you're going to be feeling like you don't want to be around. There's going to be times when you're going to be stressed up to the hilt and you don't feel supported. There's going to be times when you feel that you've got no choices. And there's going to be times when you're not going to sleep and you're not going to eat properly. And there's going to be times when your relationships are going to fail. There's going to be times when you're going to be drinking. It's going to be all these times and occurrences that happen to everybody, because we all sit in that flavour. Okay, when you, and I'll go into this in a bit more depth, but when you go into severe psychiatry, in a sense of serious mental health conditions, that's a very, very different ballgame. And the mental health system is kind of set up to catch those people, but it now also has to try and catch people that don't have a serious and enduring mental illness, but they do have very real problems. And I just think it's unfair on both systems, really. It doesn't feel very supportive if you're a person that's, if you're using lots of alcohol because you've got yourself into an addiction type state. It doesn't make it very useful for you if you've got a drug issue or you've got a gambling issue. It doesn't really make any help for you if you are feeling chronically low in your mood, but you can't really put your finger on it. It doesn't help you if you've got terrible relationship and you're fighting a system that perhaps isn't on your side. You could be a single dad, single mum. You may have have an occupation that doesn't suit most. There's lots of reasons why you might come into the mental health system, and I think unnecessarily. So, from my point of view, I would like to see people in the mental health system that need to be there, but I also think that to support people that perhaps haven't got a serious and enduring mental illness, they can get the support they need as well, without having to see a psychiatrist, be given a mental health record, for instance. I think that there is other things that can be done for those people, and things that are much more appropriate for them. So I guess that's what this show is about, really, at the end of the day. It's trying to steer people away from the mental health system if they don't need to be involved in it. And again, I'll go into the reasons why I say that. Maybe not in this show, but it might be in the next show. And we can talk about some hard truths around trying to give yourself therapy. We can talk about some hard truths around psychiatry. We can talk about medication, and it's not always the way. We can talk about traditional psychiatry and what that looks like. And we can look at other forms of therapy as well. And I think we will do that as a collective, and hopefully some regular people that want to listen and get some advice without actually putting themselves out there. I think the thing that we need to remember, as potential patients for a mental health system, which we all are, by the way, I think the thing we have to remember is that if we want to get well, we have to do some things for ourselves. A tablet's not going to take it away from you. And whether you believe that it helps you and whether you believe that, it's something that has helped you in the past, I'm not disagreeing with you on that. But I'm telling you, it's not going to solve it. A tablet's not going to take away the fact that, you've got a poor relationship with your partner. A tablet's not going to take away the fact that you're not eating very much at the moment. You need to get to the heart of the problems and have practical solutions that you can work on and steer yourself towards every time you start to feel that way for things to change. I just think, at the end of the day, and I can't remember the lady's name, Maya Angelou, I think Maya Angelou, I'll find out and I'll get back to you about it. She says, nothing will work unless you do. And that is so true. And I think the harsh reality of it is, in this world today, is we have things that we get instantly. I'll give you a good example of this, and that's TikTok or Instagram. You can scroll and get one hit of a dopamine every time you get it. And people kind of feel that perhaps that's how their life should be. They can make one phone call and Uber will deliver them a pizza. We can make one purchase on Temu and that will be delivered to you in 6 months or whatever. You're going to get some instant gratification out of it anyway. Psychiatry, or in the real world, when it comes to being a human being and how a human being processes, how a human being functions to its optimum, is nothing but hard work. And you can be the poorest person on the planet with a terrible, terrible history. You could be the richest person on this planet with a fantastic history. But as a human beings, you will experience the same thoughts and feelings around life itself. So, the rich person who's got everything that they can possibly dream of, but they have got a partner that doesn't listen to them and doesn't talk to them and thinks that they're actually not very nice. It's exactly the same as somebody that's got no money and in a poor relationship. They both feel the same things. They don't go, I've got $10 squillion, so, I feel a lot better for it. Yeah, they can distract themselves with holidays and buying themselves things, again, instant gratification, but it still sits in the heart. It still sits in the soul, and there's nothing we can do about that unless we work on it. So that is what a lot to do with the show is going to focus on as well. So if you're a person that sits there thinking, I'm going to do this, A, B, C, if you like, and then that will never lead me to D, you're mistaken. You're mistaken, and you might as well turn off now until you're ready to accept that ABC will be replaced by another ABC once you get to D. It will always be like that. There will always be a struggle. But, a lot of philosophers that I like, particularly Stoic philosophers, we need to understand as well, and not just understand, but put into practice, focusing on the things that we can control. And it's a very, very short list. You won't need a pen and paper for this. All you can control is what you think and how you perceive it. If you're, for instance, looking outside and it's raining, thinking, this is the worst day of my life, it's the only day I got off, know that there is somebody out there going, thank God it's raining, my plants really need watering. Same rain, different perception. So what you perceive and how you perceive it is what you can control. Everything else is out of your control. And you can Google it if you want. Google it, research it, AI chatbot it, do whatever you want to do about it. And the answers will always come back to you that. But just knowing that information isn't enough. You have to still put it into practice. So that's going to be the show. And what I'm going to try and do is that eventually I'd like to do this show every day. So people have got something to go to every day, to be reminded every day that, they have their part to play. And I'm hoping that, I'll be able to get people to come onto the show and talk about how they're doing and how they're progressing. And I'd like to hopefully get guests on as well, guests of notable backgrounds that can talk about similar instances or even arguments to or arguments against, what I'm talking about. I'm quite happy to debate that with anybody. And it isn't going to be an intellectual debate because I'm not an intellectual, but it is going to be, I think, worthwhile for you all to know and understand. So that's really what the show's going to be aimed at. So it's going to be, as I've said before, a no-nonsense approach. Okay, I'm not going to pussyfoot around anybody, and I'm not going to make them feel better because I don't want to get in trouble. You know, whenever you go to mental health services, they've got lots of policies and procedures and protocols in place and conditions and around how they talk and act around people. Yeah, what forms they use, the information that they record, what they're obligated to say. Yeah, they have all these things. I don't. It's just me. And I'm quite happy to take the brunt of someone being upset with me, as long as they know that, you know, that may be reflected back at them as well. Not that I want to go out and have a fight with everybody, but I just think that, you know, if you're going to be rude to me, I'll probably cut you off the show. It's no big deal, you know. It's not going to affect me too much. Okay, so, you know, I'm going to offer my experience. I'm going to offer some practical advice, some practical tools that you can go away and practice throughout the next day or the night, or see how it goes. If it works for you, God, I'm so happy for you. I really am. I'm happy for you because you took that first step to taking control of your own mental health. And if you fire me because it isn't working and I can't find you a solution, hey, I get it. I totally get it. It's not for everybody. Okay, and we're all at different stages of our journey, you know, and that's not neither a negative statement. That's just the way it is. This is about empowering you. This is about having a space for you to go to. This is about feeling supported and focusing on genuine strategies built around you. You know, this isn't about giving you a mental health record and winging you every day. You know, we can all do that ourselves. And if we've got that much of a problem, then we need to be making a trip down towards the emergency department if we can't cope with life. But most people just want to have some direction. And that's what this show is going to be about. So that is the introduction. And what I'll do is I'm going to eventually have these all stored somewhere. I don't know where. I don't know how to quite do it yet. But have them stored on so you can go back and look at the first episodes and, you know, sort of get an idea of where we're coming from. And each show I'll give you a little reminder about what I'm speaking about today. And the therapies will always come back to these main points again, really, to be honest with you. So that is it for today. I hope that it got the brain working a little bit for you, got the juices flowing, as they say, and you feel like you feel a bit hopeful from hearing it. And when we do the next show, we'll start talking about the downsides to solving problems on your own, and some hard truths about doing it yourself too. Okay, so that's what we'll talk about next time. Thanks for listening to NonSense Psychiatry. I'm Mark Kay. I am a psychiatric nurse, and I've really, really enjoyed making this first step into a new beyond for me. Thank you very much, and good night. No nonsense.